Write down the votes.
425. Okay. I got it. I'll go over here. It's a two-chart challenge. I cheat. I think I can handle it.
$60,000 later in college, he can't make a two chart.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, it's.
You need a pen?
No, I've got the Tinder pen.
Oh.
Hey Tim, that's me.
What? You're so cool. You're so cool.
Oh no, wait.
Oh my gosh.
You have 25 pieces of paper?
I'm about to know.
2 people who aren't here. 2 vacancies. Faith and Brian. Sean isn't here. And you didn't vote. So you should have 23 pieces of paper.
Wait, so there's another vote?
So we got extras?
Well, then I'm bad. How did it be there?
We don't know yet. I'm tallying right now. That's why I'm like,
We have one of their names.
Is that your battle cry?
Wait, so we have really written our names on the paper?
Oh, you
wrote your name on the paper?
No, I did not. You should know?
no.
But if someone voted twice, I'm just know.
I don't know. I think that defeats the purpose of having it. And trust in y'all.
It's just in my head. Oh, are you doing mixtures?
This is just like, look, yeah, like, choose letter J. And this is like, it's just letting you understand this.
Just because my video looked like yours doesn't mean I'm not.
Some people think I.
What did you just say?
Am I
Yes, you're
Live stream's up.
hearing exactly what she said, but we're still on.
Well, it
We're
sounds
on.
scary.
We're
Right?
on.
Right?
We're on.
Monoxide, you know?
Too much water uses brown.
No, actually, I've heard that a babysitter gave a kid too much water and the kid died. Yes, it's true. So you're just like literally crying. Trying to see if I'm
So that's dual molecule iodine plus 2 valence electrons equals. Yeah, I'm not going to science.
all wrong. Oh, yeah, there it is.
You said I should have 23, right?
Yeah.
Alright, well, Matt, can you let the candidates back in, please?
Is it solid?
So, Jeopardy music or something?
Jeopardy music, or do you want me to do like a band-aid, or do you want me to like suspense? Or...
Drum roll. Just say it honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly and quickly, both of you are very qualified. You ran a fantastic race. I'd like to congratulate the new Pret Tempore, Brian Fenwick.
Oh, you? I'm just kidding.
It's like, it's me!
Thank you.
Alright, welcome to the fall.
Thank you for believing in me once more, people. Let's make this a fun quarter.
Oh no.
I expect food.
Oh no!
It's meant for you.
There will be no patronage here. Get out of here, patriotism.
All of a sudden, he's going to start being absent.
Someone just say, I would want... Oh, I heard something.
Should we move on with our
Yeah.
busy agenda?
Yeah.
Hey. Okay, we will move on to the next item of the agenda. Nelson Chua Munoz. Yeah? Oh, no, sorry. The legislation was amended. Let me refresh this real quick. It's Randy's legislation. Yes. Yan Lopez Pulido, Protecting Renters from Unfair Discrimination, R5496. Would the author please give a reading?
Legislation R5496 unfair discrimination. Whereas Orange County is one of the most expensive places to live in the United States, and the cost of living has increased to 87% above the national average, where a minimum wage earner would need to work at least 104 hours per week to afford rent of a typical one-bedroom apartment. Renters are now a majority of the population in many of Orange County's cities, and whereas student renters in Orange County face a multidimensional challenge, striving for academic success while also battling high living costs and a low supply of housing that is affordable. Creating more affordable housing for all students and populations in need is mission fundamental to the associate students of UC Irvine, and whereas in response to the regional shortage in affordable housing, many students, young professionals, families of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, and other groups choose to add roommates, add housemates, split rooms, and share living space to reduce the burden of high living costs. The Irvine City Council and other municipalities are attempting to crack down on these types of living arrangements, contributing to a reduction in the supply of affordable housing, especially for students, young professionals, families of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, and other low-income groups. And whereas students from UC Irvine is actively in opposition of such proposed measures and have delivered numerous public comments at the Irvine City Council meetings, with special mention to Cassius Rutherford in leading the efforts to do so, and therefore be it resolved that the associate students of UC Irvine stand against efforts to overregulate, restrict, and otherwise criminalize the sharing of residential living space. The associate students of UC Irvine opposes efforts to regulate and restrict the nature of relationships or familial status among housemates and or roommates, and therefore be it resolved that in response to an ordinance effort by the Irvine City Council to crack down on these types of living arrangements and restrict unit occupancy in residential zones to the functional equivalent of a family before requiring a conditional use permit as a boarding house, the associate students of UC Irvine immediately urges all lawmakers and elected officials in Irvine to oppose such measures or support amending such harsh regulatory measures. Officials in Irvine must ensure that any ordinance regulating living arrangements includes protections for students, young professionals, families of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, and other groups of low-income renters who will be impacted. Irvine's proposed ordinance could violate the Fair Housing Act if not amended, and it is unacceptable for any elected official to support such measures. Therefore, be it resolved that the President of the ASUCI Senate, along with the other executive offices of the ASUCI, be tasked with the responsibility of sending a copy of this legislation and the letter stating the students' stance to this ordinance to all members of the Irvine City Council and the Mayor of Irvine.
Okay, with that, discussion is now open. Senator Withrow?
So I think this legislation is pretty good in setting our stance. One thing I do want to mention as well is that myself, Senator Goodeman, Senator Krebs, and Vice President Richmond, we went to the Irvine City Council meeting that happened in spring break. And there we did meet with, briefly with Mayor Shia and discuss possibly working together with her to try to amend the legislation. And is Shia, oh yes. Has there been any response yet from Mayor Shia?
No, so, I'm waiting to hear back, like, first, cause I did I submitted the information for the town hall, I still have to reply back about the, like, committee for, like, students, like, in accordance with, or in ordinance with the city council, but, yeah.
And my suggestion was going to be that we mention efforts to work together with the city council, but since there hasn't been any follow-up yet,
Senator Hampton?
I actually have some amendments to make that I forgot to put in there. The first one is to add.
Excuse me, Senator Yan, do you have any of these written?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So the first one is to add the word seniors after LGBTQ plus individuals in the third whereas. Oh, in the third whereas, it mentions LGBTQ plus individuals twice. I'd like to add seniors after both of them. And the second amendment is to, in the second therefore resolve clause, so it says the Associated Students of UC Irvine immediately urges all lawmakers and elected officials in Irvine to oppose such measures or support amending. I'd like to delete oppose such measures or support amending and just change it to amend. And in that same resolve clause, after the LGBTQ plus individuals, I'd like to add the word seniors.
Hold up, give me a second. I'm gonna pull up the internal website to see, to show everyone what I'm gonna do. Like, to show everyone the amendments, so there's no confusion.
Just
Yeah.
use like slash and count.
Yeah, I know, but, I accidentally did. S. Lopez Poo?
Trademark.
Yeah, trademark it. Put it on a t-shirt. We'll go through the first one. Okay, so, first one you need to change.
Seniors in the third whereas after LGBTQ plus individuals.
After here,
After individuals.
so you would like to put seniors, comma.
Correct.
Would you like to do this as amendment as we go, or would you like to do it all in one?
All in one. And then.
Let me see if I can make this. Is everyone, can everyone see the screen? What's making it full, and then I'll do it on.
Randy, do you want to have it like the add seniors or not? No, right?
No, sorry, I just did that on accident.
And it was in bold.
Basically the same thing. Sanjana?
Wait, not.
Could I add another amendment?
To his amendment, so you'd like to amend his amendment?
Yeah,
Yeah,
to also change, on the fourth whereas clause to say whereas students from UC Irvine are actively instead of is actively,
are actively?
yeah.
No.
Okay. Nobody seconded your motion, and no one seconded her motion either.
I know, what I'm doing is I'm showing everyone that can be potentially changed before they second the motion, that they don't know they're seconding. And then let's go.
Second therefore.
Second therefore.
To delete oppose such measures or support amending. To oppose such measures. Oh, third line.
Third line, right here.
So oppose, starting from oppose,
Okay, so this.
oppose,
Starting to oppose?
Yeah.
Oppose such measures.
amending, all the way to amending. That's just like 5 words.
This,
Amending, also.
also amended. And then you want this.
Yeah. And to make it amend.
I already have it. Okay. We're gonna focus. First, I need a second here. So now that he's made the motion. So the motion, I'm gonna repeat it, was to amend, to add seniors right here, after LGBTQ individuals, add seniors after LGBTQ individuals here. And then to strike out oppose such measures or support amending and just insert amend. Capitalized. And then add seniors after LGBTQ individuals here. Am I correct in repeating the motion?
Correct.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And then, Madam Vice President made a motion to amend his motion.
Wait, amend his motion?
Yes. So she said, oh, that's cool, but add,
Object.
hold up, and add students from UC Irvine are actively in opposition. So instead of is, right here, it's are instead of is. Is there a second?
There was a second, he opposed, that's a legal
That's-
second.
Oh, okay. Oops.
Yeah? Are there any objections to this, to amending the amendment?
Yes.
You can't, alright,
Well, isn't there already?
yes,
an
yes,
objection?
alright. Would you like to state your objection?
Yes, because I think the vice president's, internal vice president's, motion, intention was not to amend Randy's motion, but to make a new motion.
No, it was to amend his amendment. Is there any other objections, or is there any confusion to what just happened?
Yeah, I'm confused.
You do it now.
Okay,
Can we do grammar check later?
Liam, do you have a parliamentary inquiry? Or is it a
No,
point of
just a
order?
point, is discussion open right now? Or-
No, we're in the middle of an amendment.
Okay, never mind.
So is there any objections to the amendment? Other than Brian's, of course, because now I have to go notice. No, seeing none, that amendment passes. So now,
Wait,
do you have an additional amendment to the
Yeah.
amendment?
um,
Okay. What is it?
so I would like to define, the violation of the Fair Housing Act. So it specifically prohibits from enforcing housing rules on the basis of race, familial status, and other factors. So it's by, Kenneth Dahl, the law professor at Chapman University. I can.
I'm really
write that.
confused about your motion.
That's not.
Like define it. like
You
the
would
fair-
like to add another whereas, another resolved, or would you
Um,
like to insert it in a specific place?
So at the part that said the Fair Housing Act, I think it's somewhere at the bottom. In the second, therefore, Fair Housing Act, like after, Fair.
To Fair Housing Act, open parentheses, which prevents discrimination in housing practices by race, ethnicity, or insert here.
I need that source. Sorry, I'm not used to this keyboard. All right. Madam President's amendment is to add which prohibits from enforcing housing rules on the basis of race, familial status, and other factors into the second to last, therefore let it be resolved, after the Housing Act. Is there a second?
second.
Is that a second or a second with a question mark? Second? Okay. Are there any objections?
Objection.
Sure. Would you like to state your objection?
So, I do think it's a good amendment, but, for the sake of time, I think it would be better to simply commit to advocacy instead of amending on the floor and creating all this confusion. We need to get to committee breakouts today because our governing documents require us to form our committees today.
With that, time has expired. Are there any amendments? Motions on the floor? If there are no objections, I'd just like to extend time by, let's say, 3 minutes. Second? All right. Thank you for objecting. Is that an objection?
Technically it is.
Yeah. So now I can't.
No.
Nah.
Just
Bro.
let's move on.
All right. So 3 minutes. It's, an objection has been stated. Are there any further objections? I want to remind you that objecting to that might start a whole objections to the whole amendment, and then, yeah. No other objections? Could you please state, Mr. Whitfield?
Yes.
And we will amend. All right. We have an amendment to the amendment passed. Now we're voting on the amendment. Are there any objections to amending all of this to the legislation? No objections. Okay, it has been amended. All right, are there any other motions on the floor? Let me take this all while you, is there a motion?
If there are no objections or any further discussion, I'd like to motion to, call to question by acclamation.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to call this legislation by acclamation. Are there any objections?
Objection.
Would you like to state your objection?
Yeah, I think a legislation of this magnitude should at least have scrutiny from the committee.
Are there any other objections? No other objections?
I agree with you.
Okay. There's been 2 objections. Would you like to state your objection as well?
I'm just agreeing with you.
You'd just like to agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we enter debate for a moment?
No, there's been multiple objections.
So we're gonna send this into the committee run by the author of the legislation?
It hasn't been voted on, so we haven't done it yet. So you could still, the Senate, if they wish to do so, cannot send it to committee. So there are 2 objections. Now we are in a vote, so we were going to go to a roll call vote. To clarify the vote, yes is to pass this legislation, no is to not pass legislation and continue debate. Is there a parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Mapp?
What does that mean again? What information, what does that mean again?
Parliamentary inquiry means you don't know what's going on, and you want me to explain it.
Not, I just have a comment about something. About sending it to committee.
Oh, you would like to state your objection clearly?
Sure. When I agreed with Liam, I thought we weren't just gonna put it to rules, we were also gonna put it to advocacy.
No. Okay, so let me clarify this. The objection was, Liam's objection was that this is an important piece of legislation and it should go through committee. You agreed with that. And the committee that it would go to would be advocacy, not rules. Rules only pertains to something that's amending bylaw or something for the entire government. With that, time has expired. There are no objections. I'd like to just extend it for 2 minutes. Seeing none, time is extended. Yeah. All right, so now we are going to go on a roll call vote. Yes is to pass the legislation. No is to continue debate. Actually, no, it's to fail. Yeah, so no is to fail the legislation. Yes is to pass the legislation.
No, it's just not to commit it to.
Not to commit it to. There was no motion to commit it.
Yes, the motion, oh no, he called.
No, it's a
question.
call
Yeah,
to
fair.
question. It's a yes or no, whether to pass it or not. Yeah. I was like, yeah. That's what I was like, what are you talking about? All right, so yes to pass, no to not pass. Is that clear?
Point on
Based, yes.
parliamentary inquiry. If a no means this fails or this is not voted on. A no means fails, right?
No, this failed because based on what his motion was to call to question, the call to question is to see if it passes or not. So if he had to said something like, committed to advocacy, or you have to specify it, but usually we, man, this slide is really in my face. All right. Is it clear?
Yes.
If someone in the prevailing side would like to like bring it back up, you could do so, but that's a waste of time, in my opinion. All right, roll call vote.
Cervantes,
Yes.
Chua,
Yes.
Sadiq,
Yes.
Abdul Sadiq,
Yes.
Quintas votes yes. Nelson,
Yes.
Damavandi,
Yes.
Yan,
Yes.
Lim,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Ahmed,
Yes.
Withrow,
No.
Gunaman,
Yes.
Saba,
Yes.
Kuriakos,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Math,
Yes.
Artunian,
Yes.
Archbold, Sanhu,
Yes.
Krebs,
Yes.
Nakvi,
No.
Gill,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Chi,
Yes.
Fonseca.
Yes.
We'll let the eyes have it.
Okay, with that, the ayes have it. I'd just like to say something, in regards to the bill that, resolution that just passed. We do have to be careful with just ramming things through the Senate. I do understand Liam's, objection and his concerns is, that basically, because this is such a issue, some of us are maybe just kind of forced to voting it go through, instead of actually following the process that everyone else has been held to. I think it's important to follow that process, even though it is a hot topic issue. I would just like to say, if there is another hot topic issue, we legislate not reactionary, but we start thinking in advance, not so that we have to ram things through in order to get the policy through so that we can have a stance as ASUCI. I think, I see his point on why he made his objection, and I'd like to say that to all of you, that don't let it get to the point where you have to get it through in 1 week. Do your due diligence before, or, talk to the other branches, That way this thing goes through much smoother than just one meeting. Man, this slide is really good. Senator Withrow?
I move to postpone the remaining items under new business to the next meeting.
Would you, is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections to postponing all business for next meeting? Seeing none, business is postponed, and we will move on to Senate intern program reports. No reports. Next item is a committee breakouts, 20 minutes. So we are forming all committees. We will keep it like the format that's already at the chairs. If you could raise your hands, the current chairs, if you could raise your hand. Go to a corner of the room. If you'd like to be in that committee, please do so. If that committee is full, I will have to move you.
We have to change the committee close to the I have here. You can share with
Did you get it?
So I finished signing this.
Well, Jesse, 5, 6.
I can't wait for this part of
Okay, chair.
My nomination.
Vice chair. Let's go for chairs. I nominate myself.
How many members should I have? Y'all have to.
Okay, Wednesday. Well, five, like maybe.
Seven.
Okay.
Wait, Monday or Thursday?
Seven. Wow, so we have six. Okay.
Friday.
But I might take the
Friday. Free day.
Brilliant idea. You want to go to finance?
Yeah.
Can we do Fridays at like?
Okay, you literally.
No?
Do you know?
Friday at 11? Oh, you're here?
5, 6, 7. All right.
Friday.
No,
No, okay, Friday 11. Friday 11.
Oh, we have to do.
Yeah.
Right now, all our answers.
Yeah, let's check.
You can add them later.
I'm just deciding
I'm not sure when it was what.
That's the time I gave my work.
Can you do 11 though? Yeah, that's too bad.
Rodrigo, you can come back. I'll come. Rodrigo, I'll switch with you. You okay? We're good. Are you sure? I'll be coming if you have between 5 and 9.
I just like you doing a lot of work.
Alright.
Just go to your social.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
I feel like you're always
So sorry. I'm gonna switch.
Oh, yeah.
Because normally, like, I have to do it anyways.
I'll speak to you.
No, like when I asked you how like.
Oh, sorry. Because you look at when I'm in
Wait, where's my pen? So bad.
We're gonna have to talk to you. This shit is different.
You were ready. You were freaking ready. Yeah, and the acid.
Wait, did Rodrigo vote already? No, we did not.
I don't think we did.
We did not.
I think they like it.
17, 19, I get number.
It's okay, 417, 5700. 18 and 19, I don't think we voted.
Community Friday. Wait, that's new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to listen. I just don't. My ankle just recently bleeding, so I'm not trying to risk it anymore.
Where? When?
So you're sitting down?
I think I went to committee from last quarter, but it was not full business.
Like this.
So it was community.
And then I fell asleep.
Then we had
And I got up like this.
Oh, I think we were both taking video.
And I tried walking it and I was shaking.
We were eating like all these to food.
Yeah.
Oh, we were just trying to.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we're next week.
Yeah.
So when you're like falling asleep.
Wait,
You had an amazing background.
Put the most random
Great plus.
We're like going down the stairs like.
It was so random. It was so random.
I'm gonna move.
The other thing is they don't have like a breakdown.
Yes, we do. I vote yes.
Yeah, well, I wanna get you something, I dropped that in bylaw for me, that the initiative doing.
Can you go to SPFP Mondays 3 to 5?
Let's go, Julie.
In the summer.
So that we are like.
Well, there you go.
So there's that thing that like. And then is there anything else you have to do? Are y'all talking legislation? Lisa, is he? I feel like if you wanna check out the job.